Delighted to say we're joined by this legend of English cricket.
Can you believe it? It's Stuart Broad who has nipped out the final Australia wicket to fall here on an incredible summer evening at the Oval.
I don't think we can ever put him on a pedestal too high because he's been a wonderful servant for English cricket.
David Warner has just dragged on and Stuart Broad has got his man again.
Will go down as one of the greats. We love him and he's been fantastic, so awesome.
It's David Warner who's gone, he's edged into the slip cordon, and it's that man again, Stuart Broad.
You have to go out if you can at the top of your game because that's the best way forward. So, I mean, well done, Stuart. He's had an incredible career.
Stuart Broad, is he about to deliver one of those famous Ashes spells?
Okay, now just over 3 months ago, Stuart Broad took his bow at the Oval on the final day of the summer's Ashes series, taking his 604th and final Test wicket. Broad is England's second highest Test wicket taker of all time. Won 4 Ashes series during a glittering 16-year Test career. In 2016, Broad was awarded an MBE for services to British sport, and now has a new book out entitled Broadly Speaking, which takes you comprehensively through the key moments and stories from his time on the field. I'm absolutely delighted to say that Stuart is joining us in the studio this morning. Stuart, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, mate.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you in the studio this morning. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about the book. However, what about Forest? Great.
Oh, how good is that? The City Ground is back. It's what we were after. It's a bit of a fortress for us, that home place and the atmosphere there. Obviously, we have a couple of tough away games with City and Liverpool and Man United, but yeah, delighted to get 3 points yesterday.
Great goal as well. First goal,
cracking goal.
Keep it a bit suspect. Great goal. What a strike.
Yeah.
Now, you're obviously got the book coming out, Stuart. So much to go through. What an unbelievable career. I want to ask you, when you do the book, now, us as cricket fans and sports fans, we probably could have a guess at a lot of the highs in the book. However, tell us about some of the lows throughout the career.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually quite therapeutic to go and do the book after finishing. I think sometimes in sport you don't actually sit back and go through what's happened in your career. You just move on because that's what professional sport is. You're always looking at what's next, what's the next game, and you never reflect. So, some of the low points in my career I'd never even really thought about or touched on because I had this rule that after 24 hours I'd forget about it, I'd move on, learn from it. Particularly getting hit for 6 sixes when I was a young lad, 21, 22. It was just something that I did learn from a huge amount of the time, but I've never watched it back. I'd never thought about it in great detail. I just wanted to move on and pick up what feelings I had and learn from that. But so talking about that in detail was really good for me, actually, because it sort of broke off the shackles of me almost being a bit embarrassed by it and a bit ashamed by it. And it was just part of my journey to actually make me a stronger player, a better player. I was, what was I, 21, 22 at the time, probably going through that little 3-4 month period where I thought natural talent will take me as far as I need to go, and that taught me a lesson straight away of actually it's all about mental preparation, hard work, focusing on your strengths and making sure that you develop as a player. And from that moment, I definitely learned, set a goal for myself, and all the best players, you guys have been the same, having that continuous improvement mindset. I think in sport, if you stop still and you think that you've sort of cracked it, you're gone. So that lesson to learn at such a young age, it takes a lot of sport people till they're 26, 27 to learn that. But for me to learn that at such a young age and get quite a harsh lesson developed me so quickly. I was learning my trade at the international level, which is the best place to learn it, but the hardest because there's no hiding place.
Dad, for example, Stuart, I don't have any doubt that Dad would be unbelievably supportive, as all your family members would be. However, did it bring any added pressure having Dad and who he was?
I think from the outside it probably feels like it would add pressure having a dad that played international cricket, but huge credit to both my parents. Actually in the book I say about my mum a huge amount. She based my whole sporting experience as a kid about fun and enjoyment, so it's so important. Every time I got in the car after playing cricket, rugby, football, hockey, whatever, have you had fun? Have you enjoyed it? Her mindset was you can score no goals, you can take no catches, you can take no wickets, but you can have great fun with your friends. And that's such a great mindset. And actually, ultimately, it's what Stokesy and Baz brought to the team in the last 15 months. And I think that's why I thrive so much under that that atmosphere. Yes, of course, at top level sport, results are important and stats are important and winning's important. But if you focus on that, it builds too much pressure. So if you know, that fun and enjoyment, you know, Baz actually said, and I remember that feeling as a 13-year-old kid, opening the curtains on a Saturday morning, and if it was sunny, I'd be like, yes, I can play cricket.
Yes.
So trying to live with that when you're still a professional, and it makes so much sense. And if you get that same feeling when you're playing professional sport, you're in a great place.
Very true. What do you make of what's been going on with the England team now, Stuart?
It's been so difficult, hasn't it? It's obviously all great friends of mine, and it's been a disastrous World Cup, and I think the players have been really honest with that. I've heard Stokesy and Mark Wood talk about it quite open and honestly. I think, it's one of those things. I don't think it's time for panic and structural change and changing the style of play. I think the style of play has held England in great white balls form for 4 or 5 years, certainly since winning the last World Cup with Owen Morgan. But part of me thinks that we need a bit of younger blood into the side, a bit of younger freshness, and I'm a big believer that experience is crucial in sports teams. You're going to need to keep some experienced players around to bed that younger player into the group. But sometimes with an older generation, you start to creep into that slight fear of failure, and that's not what this white ball team's been about. So, I wouldn't be changing the coach, I wouldn't be changing the captain, Joss Butler, but if I was Joss, I'd be just looking at a few of younger, exciting players, bring in 3 or 4 new players to give a bit of spice to the team, and lose a little bit of that sort of fear that looks like it's crept in this World Cup. It's so rare in cricket that you lose 7, 8 players lose form.
Yeah,
you always have 2 or 3. Always have 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But that's the great thing about team sports, is you can lean on your teammates to help you in those times, and then you pick up your form. But all the guys look like the confidence has gone, and we've been set targets are quite low at times, 270s, 280s, which we should cruise with our talent, and we've just been faltering, and ultimately I don't think we were going to win this World Cup. I think India just looked phenomenal.
They
looked
against
so
South
strong
Africa as well, weren't they?
And you look at the history of the World Cup since 2011, it was in India won it, Australia in 15, Australia won it, England in 19, England won it.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a huge advantage to have that World Cup at home. But in India just look a powerhouse. But there's no excuse to be borderline bottom of the table.
Stuart, tell me, there's great sporting events that we all love, whether it's the Ryder Cup, whether it's the World Cup, whether it's the Olympics. The Ashes is up there for me. This year's Ashes series was...
It's a brilliant watch, it really is.
Alive. It's
stunning to watch.
It's compulsive.
It is.
It's on the car, it's on the telly. I just absolutely adore it. Couple of questions for you. I mean, the ending to this year's series, I thought was the very least that England deserved. Yourself, you couldn't have written the ending, but I want to ask you to go back as well, if I may. A couple of questions. I'm guessing one of your highlights, best ever Ashes, was 8 for 15 at Trent Bridge, and I can still see your face when Stokes is that catch from, was it Adam Vogue's? Incredible. Tell us a little bit about the rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the rivalry has been around since I was born, really. My dad won the Ashes in 86, 87. I was 6 months old, so I was sort of, most kids are watching Postman Pat, and I'm watching videos of my dad in the Ashes, so it's sort of built up from a young age of that. But the rivalry is just incredible to be a part of. I had my first Ashes series in 2009. I'm suddenly on the field with the likes of Ricky Ponting, and like a bit starstruck in a way by them, but also having to take them on, and learning from the likes of Freddie Flintoff and Kevin Peterson of how to play against Australia. You can't back away from them. You have to stand up and be competitive and look them in the eye. So I got a great learning curve from early Ashes series, and I think I mentioned this in the book a little bit actually. I can't believe the ending I had with how it finished. I know I'd set a goal that I wanted to finish playing for England. I wanted to finish at the top, but at the moment from when I told Stokesy on the Friday night, I couldn't have written a script of how my career would finish. It's always the greatest wicket you can ever take is to win a Test match. So to have my last ever ball to win an Ashes Test match, to get the series drawn, which was the least we deserved as a team, I thought. The least we deserved. Against England, Australia at the Oval, one of my favourite places to play, one of the greatest sporting rivalries. It just felt the right time for me.
And it wouldn't have happened unless you'd moved the Bills.
No, exactly. Oh God, I did that twice in my career and we got 2 wickets. Why didn't I do it 17 years ago?
Stuart, when did you make that decision? Because was it something at home you and your family have been speaking about for months, or was it something that you literally just felt, yeah, now's my time, a few weeks before you actually announced
honestly,
it?
so the Old Trafford Test match, Test match 4, so we're talking 10 days before I told Stokesy, I'd started to think a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to Jimmy as in I was going to do it, but we were on a golf cart in Manchester, and we had this unwritten rule really that we'd never move away from the game at the same time. We thought that'd be too much experience leaving a changing room.
Yeah.
So I sort of said, Jim, how you feeling, mate? What you looking forward to the winter, and what's your plans next summer? And he goes, I've not had the greatest summer. I had a bit of a niggle in my groin and quad, and I'm just going to get so fit for India. I'm going to train, really get so mentally fresh and hit next summer hard. And I thought, well, he's not thinking about going anywhere, is he? And then I started really looking within myself about. I knew I wanted to finish playing for England, my last game in an England shirt. I almost had a bit of a fear of playing against young players and them going, I thought he was supposed to be good.
Yeah.
Right.
So I knew that I wanted to go when I was still achieving and still delivering. And that, I think, turned my decision. And honestly, on the Friday night before I told Stokesy, I was unsure. I had no gut feeling. I knew I could carry on playing. I knew I could probably do another couple of years. But the longer you go, I'm 37, the longer you go in sport, the less control you have. And I didn't want a selector going, you're done. I wanted to make that call myself, because a lot of my old teammates that I've talked to and friends, the ones that have called time on their own career, the ones that have felt better about it. And I wanted my memories of cricket to be delightful, not to be of being in pain and losing form and being dropped. So I thought, I feel great. I love cricket. I love the feeling of playing. I'm going to go.
Yeah. See, I think that is so interesting, to be able to be so fortunate, in your own mind, to call that decision when you're at the top. And the reason I think, follow-on question with Jimmy, because Jimmy, as you correctly say, I think was very unlucky with injury, and there'll be part of Jimmy's psyche saying, I want to go out my own terms, at least when I'm fit and doing well, that you've had the opportunity to do. But the two of you, it's been, you mentioned the experience going out the dressing room, that would be a massive, massive loss for the period. But you have gone hand in hand through Test cricket, and the two of your careers have sort of followed one another all through the paths. And I'm guessing you're as good friends off it as you are on the pitch.
Yeah, great friends. It's little things that we didn't really connect to at times. Say, Jimmy's daughter's 14, and we've played together her whole life. So you forget how long we've played together. So we had a lot of messages from cricket fans that couldn't sort of believe that me and Jimmy wouldn't bowl again together, because their whole time of watching cricket we've played together. But ultimately, all good things do come to an end, and I think having control in the decision was important for me. Jimmy's 41 now. He still looks great. He's still got all the talent in the world. So I don't know how long he'll go on for. I know he's got that carrot dangling of 700 Test wickets. I think he's 690 odd. So that's obviously a huge aim for him to drive forward. And ultimately, playing under Baz and Stokesy, it's a dream.
It's fun.
They take pressure away. It's fun. It's enjoyable. We saw you up at Lot Lomond, didn't we? That was our pre-Ashes camp. Not many people get lucky enough to do that. I've done ones in the past where you're doing army camps in Munich. So it's really enjoyable, really fun, and that made it really difficult to walk away from. But I had to try and stay true to what I believed, and it just felt the right time.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.